All right, good morning, Mr. Jenkins, good morning. Y'all are on mute still.
We're ready.
There you go. Mr. Jenkins, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number, please.
Leroy Jenkins, 73024.
All right, and you have counsel this morning. Counsel, would you introduce yourself, please?
Good morning. My name is Claire Rubion on behalf of Mr. Leroy Jenkins.
Okay, thank you. And we have there with Mr. Jenkins at Angola, we have other members of the legal team, Sarah Clement and Katie Mino. And on Zoom, we have Mr. Andrew Hundley with the Parole Project. We do have some folks in opposition here with us in Baton Rouge. We have Beverly Trask, Elizabeth Trask, Karen Peralt, Cheryl Trask Say, Jean Kitchen, Jack Trask, and on Zoom, Jack Trask, Arthur Kitchen, Don Peralt, and William McGee. We also have on Zoom Morgan Trask and John Trask, and we also have the district attorney from West Feliciana Parish. So, Mr. Jenkins, I'm going to read some identifying information into the record, and I'm going to ask you to verify it, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Freeman, seated to my right, because your case has been assigned to him. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, Mr. Jenkins, you're classified as a second felony offender. You're currently serving a life sentence. You were sentenced, you have a sentencing date in East Feliciana Parish, December of 2013 for first-degree murder. You received a life sentence. Then in West Feliciana Parish in September of 1983, simple escape type 1, you received a 2-year sentence. Your parole eligibility date was June 17th of 2022. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Right. Ms. Freeman?
Okay, all right, Mr. Jenkins, tell me, what did you do to get yourself put in prison? And a little bit about when you escaped, and then tell me why you think you're ready to get out today.
I went across Mr. Trask's property, and things didn't go well. So I wound up shooting him, and it's been gnawing me ever since. I'm very sorry for doing such a thing, and I said that will never happen again.
Why did you go on his property?
Well, looked like it was intended to be a robbery.
Okay.
I really was trying to search in my mind that I was right about that, but it looked like I couldn't receive it. But that's the way it looked to me. So I shot him, and he fell. His wallet fell on the ground, and I seen it. I went over and grabbed it and took off running. And that's my accountability to doing such a thing. I can say this much: what happened then would never happen again. I was totally out there wrong. God had forgiven me already, but I asked the Trask family to forgive me for trespassing in the first place. If I hadn't went on Mr. Trask's property, things wouldn't have went that way. And young, ignorant, and butt-headed, or whatever you want to call it, that I was. And I wish I could tell the trash family, to forgive me for that. I know it's a hard pill to swallow, and I've been really searching to still find an answer, but even now, after all these years, it's even stronger now, just like it was then. It's just a change in faces, I would say, and but the hurt is still there.
He
All
also
right.
asked you why you escaped. Can you speak to why you escaped, the escape?
Oh, okay. They was I was put here when the prison was crazy. Everybody had a knife, and it would best be better have that knife on you ready. And I said I wasn't gonna stay here. All that was going on, raping, killing, and young. They just threw me to the wolves. So I said, ain't no way I'm gonna stay here. And I one I guess it was morning, I think it was. I seen a clear opening, and some heads were turned the other way. I went across that ditch, and there was a guy with me. I didn't want him because I thought he was going to slow me down, but he kept up with me, and I'm not exactly sure how I got to Baton Rouge, and catching that bus. It just to New Orleans. It was a remarkable thing that what happened, and today I can't even explain it. The impossible things that went on during that escape, and it looked like it wasn't escape. The door just opened for me, and I just walked through. I should have never left the prison grounds, knowing that I had a life sentence, but y'all have to forgive me. I just couldn't sit still, and I know I was going to have to use my knife, because they be those headhunters. They don't. If you're young, they don't care where you come from, who you are. They come to get something, and so I left before that happened.
Got it.
He
How long
asked
were
you
you
what,
there before you left?
How old?
How
They-
long were you at Angola before you left?
I think it was 1972 or 73. I think it was. Yes, sir.
it was about 10 months, I believe.
Okay, all right.
And then to answer, he asked you a third question, Leroy, that I want to make sure that you address. When you came back in 83, you've been here for almost over 40 years since. Why should they let you out today? Why should you get out?
Okay. I think I have over these. I'm 70 years old, and I didn't realize I was that old. I was thinking I was around late 50s, early 60s, and look like that's the way I feel about it. But I'm looking to get parole back into society with your blessings. Sorry, I haven't. I've been acting crazy, but this parole committee, I asked them to please give me a parole. In fact, parole me out to the parole project. They have a good record. patients that they have, and I've been connected with them for the past 10 years or so, and each time they come, they always put me on the list, and they have been coaching me, and it's been going good. So I ask you to parole me out to them, to their care. And I believe from that point, as far as a plan to work, I had even went that far, helping them washing cars, even trying to get a job at the hospitals, sweeping up, washing dishes. It doesn't matter to me. I know I still have the stamina in me to do some more work and make a nice living for myself. That's all I have. So-
All right. Okay, well, let's move on. I'm gonna ask you some more specific questions when we come to the interview part. Mr. Hundley at the Louisiana Parole Project.
Andrew Hunley with Louisiana Parole Project, appearing today to confirm to the board that if Leroy is granted parole today, that he would be a client. We've accepted him for our residential reentry program. As Leroy mentioned, we've been seeing him for quite a few years, speaking to him as we do other people who are incarcerated that are parole eligible about what to expect when they come home. And what our program would look like for him. Obviously, because of his age, we would suggest, and because of what his resources are, he would be a long-term client in our program. We would commit for the long term, keeping him in our program, providing him with access to our staff social workers, and he would also be assigned a reentry specialist and peer mentor to work with him, along with our programming and other services. But because of his record over the last several decades, and because of his age, we believe that if he were to be released, he would have no problem with fitting in to our program, transitioning with our assistance, but just confirming he would be a long-term client in our program if he were to be released. And I stand by ready to answer any other questions you may have about his potential reentry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, now we're gonna go to the opposition, and I'm sure Mr. Quilly, you want to go last. That's usually we let the DA go last.
Sounds good.
Okay, so first let's go with Miss Beverly Trask.
On behalf of 5 generations of the Eddie Trask family, I thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm Beverly Trask, and my father, Eddie Trask, was shot and killed by Leroy Jenkins. My mother was dumped under the steering wheel, driving away as she was chased by Leroy Jenkins, waving a gun in his hand. This happened on Saturday, July the 3rd, 1971. That's 54 years ago, going on 55. It seems like after that length of time that things will get become smooth, but I because Eddie and Gina Trask gave me life. They are the reason I exist. And I would like to tell you what it's like to be a victim. It's life-changing, and it's excruciating to have to go through the number of paroles and different hearings that we have gone through. My father was a very good and honest man. The grandchildren only know of him because they were 4 years old. Jack was 8, so he had a few good memories. But they only know of his death and his killing. And what their brothers, my brother, their fathers, my brothers have had to go through these hearings over these years. I'd like to share a story. It's a true story. It was a dream that I had, not recently, several years ago, probably connected to one of these hearings. I had a dream that there was a family gathering lots of people there. There was food on the table, there was laughter. I walk into a room where there's fewer people, and sitting in a chair is my father. And I was so ecstatic. I said, Dad, you're alive. And I said, where have you been all these years? And he said to me, he said, this was all made up. It was a mistake. Dreams have funny ways of helping people. But I woke up and I realized that this was not a dream. It was not a mistake. The actions of Leroy Jenkins, as described by my mother in this 1984 clemency letter, described Leroy Jenkins hiding in a ravine with a stocking over his head and floating gun. He was waiting for them to return from town where my dad had just cashed his Social Security check. And so Leroy Jenkins knew he had money in his pocket. In my mother's letter, she said, my daddy said, what is it that you want? It was exactly the same thing he had said 2 days before when Leroy Jenkins was peering into their window of the trailer. My daddy says, what is it you want? If Leroy Jenkins said, give me your money, he would have. I think he would have just given him. But instead he chose to shoot. He shot him once here and in heart. He was a good aim. I don't know best to tell you on behalf of my father, my mother, people that are here today. I earnestly and heartfeltly ask parole not be given to Leroy Jenkins. This is not done out of any kind of hate or revenge. It is simply because this is what my family, my mother thought. Our society and our legal system designated it as a consequence of killing someone. I want to thank the parole board. This is a letter that my mother wrote. She was an eyewitness. She wrote this in 1984 when Leroy Jenkins was brought back after being escaped from prison for 9 years. The only reason he is in prison is not because law officials were looking for him. It was because he applied for a job as a security officer and he was fingerprinted and fingerprints matched. That's the only reason he's in prison. I want to thank the parole board because this letter was written by my mother. These are the facts of that day. She was a first grade school teacher and she wrote the truth. I also want to tell you that because of all the court proceedings that happened, that were in storage unit in Clinton, and bad weather came and all of those were restored. So there's no records of the truth when Leroy Jenkins actually confessed. So thank you for this, and I appreciate the time and appreciate you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Okay, next we will go to Cheryl. I haven't got my board. Cheryl Trask Say.
I'm Cheryl Trask C. I am the granddaughter of Edward Trask. And I was just a kid when this happened. But I can remember my parents just grieving and crying and just after the event. And I'll never forget that day. My dad was crying. He kept repeating. He didn't ask. He didn't ask. He didn't ask for the money. He just shot him. This whole thing was not necessary. He chose to shoot him. He came with a mask, came with a gun. He had all the options to just ask for the money and leave. I don't think that was his intentions. My grandparents had just spent the night at our house the night before because Leroy Jenkins had been prowling around up there and they were afraid to spend the night there. There's a trailer. So this property is like 83 acres You don't just walk across this couch, you have to make an effort. There was banging on the side of the trailer. My grandmother was at the kitchen sink and she saw Leroy Jenkins outside looking in. Just terrified her. She didn't want to go back. So they were afraid to spend the night there. So they came to my house and spent the night and then stalking them. And they even called the sheriff. That didn't do any good. He kept coming back and I don't know why. I don't know why. He wouldn't just leave them alone. So if he left alone. And then he saw them in town and took advantage. He knew that they were going to be going to the grocery store, so he met him at their house with a mask and a gun. His intentions were obviously to do harm. Because my grandfather asked, what do you want? He didn't ask him for the money. His intentions were to harm. And so I would not trust him. He can be manipulative, he can be conniving. He makes it sound easy to escape from Angola. It's not easy to escape from Angola. He's conniving, he's manipulative. I wouldn't trust him. We spent our whole life with him out. It was like my childhood. I was just afraid that he would show up again. He was stalking my grandparents. I was afraid that he would come back and stalk us some more. There was just this, I was just raised with this fear and this sadness and this grief. And people had to tell me about my grandfather. So unfortunately, I was very young and I didn't have a lot of memories. I do have some and I cherish them, but people would always come to me and tell me these wonderful stories about my grandfather and how generous he was and how encouraging he was. And I just wish that Leroy had given him a chance to hand over the money. He didn't. And my fear is if he gets out again, I don't trust him. I would not feel safe. Whenever he escaped the first time, he didn't just catch a bus. He held a couple hostage. He left that part out.
Yes.
And he's making it sound easy, but it's not. And I just don't trust him. I don't trust his intentions. I know in the past paroles, he's mentioned about how he's a good Christian man now. That's great. I'm a Christian also, and he's asking for forgiveness. I have really struggled my whole life with forgiveness because this man had a really hard lesson with forgiveness. And I've come to terms, you can forgive, but you still have to suffer the consequences of your actions. Forgiveness doesn't erase what you did. And God can use him in jail. That's wonderful. God can use us wherever we are. It doesn't mean that it needs to be out. I just don't feel safe with this man wandering around anymore.
Okay.
I just don't.
Appreciate it. All right, next we will go to Jean Kitchen.
I'm a Christian too. Well, the only thing I can say, I'm not gonna be as eloquent as speakers, these other two ladies have tried to be, but I'm gonna tell you the truth, as I saw it, and I was there from the beginning. First of all, Mr. Eddie Trask was an honorable man. And my brother-in-law, Jack Trask, Mr. Eddie was his hero. Mr. Trask didn't have any vices, just like my brother-in-law. Probably one of the best men I've ever known. I didn't have any brothers. He was my brother. That's the way he treated me. After Mr. Trask was killed, my brother-in-law was never the same. My brother-in-law was a smart man. But he missed his daddy so much. And he couldn't get it off his mind. Somebody had shot his daddy. He was an honorable man, walked with a cane. He would help anybody. But I noticed the difference. And then years later, on Christmas Eve, Leroy Jenkins escaped. And my brother-in-law was in town and my sister. They lived in Georgia or South Carolina, and I forget where, South Carolina probably. And Christmas Day, me and my brother-in-law started out before daylight and went to different sheriff's substations. There was 4 or 5 of them. It ended up in Angola to see what was being done about catching. My brother-in-law took it hard. My brother-in-law passed away before they caught Leroy Jenkins. So he had to live with the fact that he was escaped and he didn't know where he was and what was happening. I'm not gonna be up here, and I know that I'm not supposed to talk a long time, but I got one thing I want to tell you. I don't think I can go with is my 2 boys. They love Jack. Now Jack is my brother-in-law. I'm talking about him. He's the one that passed away grieving the whole time about his daddy dying. But my 2 boys love Jack. In fact, my grandson is named after Jack. Well, I was at home, and Mom and Daddy was up there singing about Jack, and he had suddenly become ill. And he passed away, 42 years old. My daddy called me and said, Daddy, Gene, I got bad news. So what is it? He said, Jack just died. So, oh. So Gene and my 2 boys were gone. So I had to break the news, and then my 2 boys loved Jack. And Jack was grieving, y'all, I'm telling you. But when they got home, I sat them all down. And I told them that their uncle had passed away. My little boy, he just buried his head in his mama's lap. Right. My oldest boy, he locked himself in the back room. I could hear him crying. Wouldn't let me in. Excuse me for crying, but it's so tough. But as tough as it is on me, his grandchildren, his daughter, he suffered way worse than that. And it's never stopped. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll hear from the district attorney, Mr. DeQuilton.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Good morning. My name is Sam DeQuilla. I'm the district attorney for East and West Michiana Parish. I would like to thank the board and the committee for allowing me to come make a short presentation to you this morning in opposition to the parole eligibility of Mr. Leroy Jenkins. Know the board committee are familiar with their board policy 7701 POL regarding parole decisions. And I'll go through 1 through 8 of the guidelines just really briefly. First guideline is the nature and consequences of crime. It's a very serious crime. Crime occurred where Mr. Jenkins stalked, shot, looked into robbing Mr. Trask, and he killed him. He went to the penitentiary, he served 10 months, and he was escaping the penitentiary under very violent circumstances. Second, the prior criminal record of Mr. Jenkins. I don't know a lot about his prior criminal record. He was younger when it happened. He probably didn't have a long criminal history at that point, but he did escape from Louisiana State Penitentiary. He did take hostages, and he did live away from the penitentiary for over 9 years. The character and background of him, I really don't know a lot about his character and background. The committee or the board will have a lot more knowledge about his character and background than I would. But I can tell you this, I came here a couple of years ago. The Trask family has been in here numerous times. They've been at every proceeding. They have objected in every way they could. I can tell the last time I was here, seeing Mr. Jenkins, he did not show any remorse at that time. Institutional adjustment, his attitude, his rule violations, I'm not aware of a lot of his rule violations. I didn't do an extensive search about his history at Angola, but I know he's here today to request parole eligibility. I am here today to speak on number 5 of the guidelines, and that is the police, judicial, and community attitude toward the inmate, Mr. Leroy Jenkins. Under A, the committee will evaluate and consider information concerning the inmate from community and public officials. That's why I'm here today. And the community's here today. I've spoken to other people in the community, the sheriff, Mr. Talmadge Bunch, he was a past sheriff. Jeff Travis was a past sheriff. Randy McLaughlin was a past sheriff. During my duration as district attorney, I've been district attorney for 23 years in East Louisiana Parish. The factor is given greater weight because the probability that an inmate will succeed on parole is greatly diminished if he will return to a community that has expressed hostility toward him. We are hostile toward him. Parole plan. You got to say he does have a good parole plan. The parole project, I've worked with him in the past. We work with them with individuals need assistance that they are there to help him, but this is not the case to send somebody to the parole project. Program participation, I don't know a lot about his training. It seemed like the last time we were here just a couple of years ago, he didn't have a lot of training. He didn't have a lot of courses that he was taking at Angola. I don't know if he was in the literacy program, but it seemed like he said he was not involved in a lot of programs at that time. I'm sure that's changed now because they build and they learn and they know what to do for the next time, but this is still not a case for any consideration on his program participation. Risk assessment, I think he's a risk. He escaped from prison. He took hostages. He brutally shot and killed somebody for no reason at all. I struggle in my position as district attorney. I want to do the right thing. The right thing in this case is to keep him incarcerated, deny his parole eligibility. We represent the families. The families were told when he was sentenced the first time, life without benefit, parole, probation, or suspension sentence. And when you tell somebody something, that means that's the way it's supposed to be. And I know the legislature comes and they make different rules and they have these different guidelines and rules and parole eligibility and maybe early release and compassion, clemency, and things like that. But we represent the families. And if the family comes to me and says, we strongly oppose this, I'm going to stand by them. That's what we're supposed to do. He was awarded freedom. He received his freedom for 9 years. He was living a whole separate life until he got caught again. And after he got caught again, he's coming before the board and he's asking for consideration because he's 70 years old and I can't hurt anybody else. And, I need to be out. Well, they have consequences for your actions. And he has consequences ×2. He committed 2 crimes. I just asked the board and the committee to show some compassion for the family in this matter who have been grieving. They have lived in fear for 10 years and they just want closure to this. So we are in opposition to any kind of parole eligibility of Mr. Jenkins. Should I answer any questions or is that?
That's good. Thank you, sir. Okay, first off, Warden, I'm sorry I passed you up, Warden. Ms. Ambo, what you have to tell us about Mr. Jenkins?
I can tell you that Mr. Jenkins has been here a total of 53 years. He's a minimum aid trustee. He's assigned to maintenance. He only had 19 DV reports, his last one being in 2008. He has taken, since the last hearing, he has taken victim awareness letter training, thinking to win life skills. As far as his education level, Mr. Chatelain believes that he's a legitimate candidate for a waiver of his GED requirements due to his age and his inability to complete the TABE test. He's very well mannered and a respectable inmate, said the staff here at LSP.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. How old were you when you committed this crime?
15 years old.
Okay. How is your health? Do you have any health problems?
Yes. I hurt my back some years ago.
Okay.
It's recurring. I walk with a cane now. And,
Okay,
take
and
med-
so what was going on in your life at 15 years old? What were you doing? Were you drugging? Were you alcoholic or what? Because it looks
Nothing
like
like
you
that.
stole the gun that you used to shoot him with.
Right.
So
A kid running wild. That's the only explanation I have. The end result is that I messed around and did the wrong thing. I was using the rifle to hunt with, and I just happened to come through that bit of property, and I came across of it, and Mr. Trans seen me. I took off running. It's just a messed up kid that.
But tell me about this messed up kid. Why was he stalking? Why were you stalking them? Why were you beating on their trailer and walking around their trailer? Because it wasn't your first time on the property.
I went on his property once and didn't go back until I would say a week or so. Maybe I went across his property twice that I can remember. As for beating against the trailer, I have no idea where that come from.
All right. What did you learn from your victim accountability class?
Okay. Speaking with each other, we come to terms with the gravity of that the impact would occur, I should say, the gravity that it would put on the trash. And I had been looking at the films, or I should say DVDs, and one in particular where a young guy, the guy took he held him up. He was about 15 too. And I put myself in his shoes and also the victim. And it hurt my heart that that the victim had to go through that much torment, especially when a kid, it was just a kid running wild, no home training, get with other guys and supply.
Can you tell them more what you learned in the victim accountability class?
Okay.
I think you're going a little off course. Let's go back to the victim accountability class.
We're trying to make amends, as I said, to the Trash family. I asked them, please forgive me for the horror that I caused them now and then, especially then. It should have never happened, and I'm very sorry that it did. I shouldn't have never been on this property, those 2 times.
Gotcha.
But as I said, I don't know anything about beating on the house,
Okay.
okay,
What else did you learn from victims accountability class?
okay.
Right.
To continue, the victim awareness showed me that living soberly and staying out of harm's way uh, and getting with somebody that has a better report than I had.
Okay. We got that. Okay, okay, well, in Chicago, what did you do for the 9 years you were gone? Were you working somewhere?
Yes, sir.
What were you
My
doing?
first job was a simple washing dishes
Mhm.
at a nursing home, and I got through the city's where they supply you with a job and they take the finances out your paycheck, uh,
Okay.
jobs like that. And let's see, my last job was working at a steel company, and that took me a long ways. And I always kept a job when if I decided to move on. That this washing job, the owner told me, he said, you got a long life. He knew what age I was. He said, you got a long ways to go. And at below minimum wages, this is not the place for you. So I decided to go on. And the next day, look for another job. I got it, but no problem. They at the time, jobs then wasn't it was very easy to get. So I moved on.
And so you worked the whole time you were in Chicago?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
and you had a family?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you applied, what did you apply for, a security guard or a law enforcement position?
Law enforcement position.
That's why the illegal thing. Okay, I have no further questions. I'll turn it over to my colleague.
Tell me about your day right now. What do you do every day in prison?
Repair lawnmowers, weed eaters, and anything small engines, which I was going to get when I get out of here. Open up a little small engine repair shop, to earn a living. Probably be doing that even on the side for another job. So I could do my best to keep a job to support myself.
Do you keep to yourself in prison, kinda?
Yes, I do. I've been able to do that for a long while. Just being a loner. My principal, Miss Holloway, she said for the records that I had once before, when I was 15, when I came before the court, she said that I was a loner, and but she was right. After looking at myself, and that's how I've been able to survive, being off to myself, and doing good most of the time.
Thank you. That's it.
So, Mr. Jenkins, you mentioned you have some health issues. Are you followed by mental health
Yes,
on a regular basis?
I would say so. Yes, ma'am.
Do you take any medications?
Yes, Elavil for I have a blood pressure problem. That's not uncommon for someone at my age. So,
Right, Let's see. So Ms. Rubion, would you like to make your presentation?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Jenkins has been here a long time, and the Trask family has been hurting, real hurt for a long time. And we acknowledge that that pain is real and that pain is not going to disappear in their life. We understand and acknowledge their opposition, and it's understandable, and that opposition deserves respect. Nothing in this process or in Mr. Jenkins' request to be released on parole supervision is meant to minimize their suffering or minimize their loss. What he is here to do is express his accountability, and that is accepting the consequences of what's done and facing him. Granting parole for Mr. Jenkins today does not undo his conviction. It does not undo the time he served or undo the pain he has caused. It is about recognizing that Mr. Jenkins has now faced his actions. I've represented Mr. Jenkins for many years now, and I would encourage this board, if you would have the opportunity to question him again, to ask him about sitting in the victims awareness and accountability class, and for what was likely the first time in his life being given an opportunity to listen to other people in a facilitated setting talk about their crime and the impact that that had on other people. I have seen a shift in how Mr. Jenkins approaches it and thinks about and processes what his actions have caused. He has deep accountability and genuine remorse for what he's done. He doesn't excuse it or minimize it. He has shown his maturity, his rehabilitation, and that he is low risk. He has served very many years, over 40 years since the 80s. He is 70 years old. We know based on his age that he's aged out of criminal behavior. We know that. He's acknowledged his escape. He has pled guilty. He's taken responsibility for that. And he has been a very good inmate since he has been back in Angola, with very few write-ups in the many years that he's been here, with almost 20 years of no write-ups. He's maintained steady employment. He came here as a juvenile, and we know that juveniles' minds are not formed all the way. We know that they are capable of rehabilitation and change, and we see that in Mr. Jenkins. We also know that when Mr. Jenkins pled guilty, that is why, under the 610 changes in the law, Act 544, that he is eligible for parole, to honor that bargain that was made under the 10-6 laws. He has a plan. Parole Project has agreed. We have the letter here. You heard Mr. Huntley, to give long-term housing and support to Mr. Jenkins. They have a proven track record of helping transition people out of prison. Mr. Leroy knows, he's been here a long time. He knows that the world looks different, and that he will rely on Parole Project to help him navigate that, to get the papers and the housing and the resources. He has the commitment from the Parole Project. He has great remorse and accountability for what happened. Again, we don't minimize the Trask's pain. It is real. It is not going to disappear. But Mr. Jenkins has changed himself, and he has earned the opportunity to live differently and carry his life forward as a parolee outside of the gate. I'm available to ask any questions the committee may have for me. I welcome them.
No questions. All right, thank you, Ms. Rubion. We appreciate it. I think that that concludes our interview, and I believe we're prepared to vote. Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Jenkins, you had your 9 years out, and you did good while you were out. You wasn't arrested, obviously. But, due to the pain that the victim's family is going through, the escaped and taken hostages, and my vote, strong law enforcement opposition, my vote today is to deny.
Mr. Byron.
I concur with Mr. Freeman for the same reasons. Deny.
Right, Mr. Jenkins, I'm concerned about your understanding of true understanding of the impact that you've had on this family. I appreciate what your attorney said. It looks like you did that victim accountability training just last year in 24. And you weren't real good at describing to us what happened. You say you think what happened. We know what happened. We have all the records. So, based on the opposition we've seen today here with us, and that's in the record by law enforcement, I agree with my colleagues. My vote today also is to deny you parole today. Good luck to you, sir.